let's have a look at the Gitz units and rate them. Who doesn't love rating things? But first, thanks to all my patrons, Wybarian, Baron of Dice. Wow. I had a lot of trouble with this. This was really hard for me. This isn't the order that I put him in a second ago, is it? No, it's not, but that's okay. We don't need him in any kind of special order. We're going to go through them one at a time and see how we feel about them. Oh, I know why. Okay, so first, let's start with Spider Fang. Where are they? So, I think right now, you know, it's almost like we need a different way of rating Gitz units, because I just, and I mean, again, like, we're talking about this from a competitive perspective. So from a competitive perspective, I think that they're just kind of F tier as a group. And I have to think of reasons why individual ones are not F tier. Does that, if that makes sense? Well, actually, you know what? We should really define our terms first. So S tier for me is an auto include in the army. If you don't have this unit, you should run this unit. A tier is really, really good, but not necessarily an auto include. B tier is situationally good. This unit fits a particular role better than most, or better than all. Or if you're running certain kinds of combinations or playing into certain metas or certain maps, they become quite good. So, yeah, if we had to think of an example of each one, so I would say that Boingrot Bounders are S tier. They slap really hard. They're better than most other, like, it's the best cavalry unit inside of the army. And if we look over at just its damage, it's like Bounders on the charge deal almost 10 damage per 100 points. This is just 5 Bounders dealing like 11.17. It's a lot of damage. So play them, right? They're very, very good. A tier units that are really good that we're not surprised to see. This could be something like the Bounder Boss. I think the Bounder Boss is pretty good with enhancements. What's a better example? Skragrott the Loon King, I think, is a better example. I don't think Skragrott is an auto-include, but I think that his spell is very good. I think that his, yeah, like, Fangs of the Bad Moon is a really good spell. The moon now moves all the time. Like, it doesn't, or, like, hold on. Yeah, I didn't think I was crazy, but the Bad Moon just moves every turn, so Skragrott being able to keep it where you want it for an extra turn, because let's be honest, you're never taking the spell lore with the spell that has you cast, like the spell that brings the moon back, right? Like, you're always taking lore of the Frazzle Git. You're never taking lore of the Clammy Dank, because 2 of these spells are so bad, and the lore of the Frazzle Git's actually good. Like, I think all of the spells are actually good. So it's like you're never taking those, right? So Skragrott's A tier. A B tier unit could be Stabas and Shootas. I think Stabas and Shootas are good if you're going to be taking some of the Fanatics, right? I think that's if you're not running Fanatics, I don't think you really want to be taking Stabas or Shootas. Okay, so let's get into some of our big boys. Kragnos, I think, is A tier in Gloomspite Gitz. Right now, everyone's calling it the full send meta, and Kragnos is just a very, very solid hero. Kragnos is, I mean, he's not as survivable as you would think, but his 3d6 charge is good if you're playing lots of cavalry, which is what I think Gloomspite Gitz is going to want to be doing. It's also really good if you're running trolls, because trolls are kind of slow. I think it's better with, like, squigs. Yeah, like, I think it's maybe he's at his worst with trolls, I think. But all the bounders and hoppers and Snarlfang cavalry and stuff, I think really, really, really dig him. Getting back to, I think Spider Riders are B tier. I think that Spider Riders are the only Spider Fang unit that I think is going to be B tier. F tier, by the way, is just completely unplayable. If you're an F tier unit, it just kind of means that like if you're playing it in your list, you should just really be playing something different. But the Spider Riders, I think, are the only unit in that's not. And the reason I think is they're really cheap at 110 points for 5 models. They're also 10 control for a unit, so that's kind of relevant. And they also fly. So if you compare this to like the they have a role. They have better control than most, but it's not like, yeah, like I don't know. Probably B tier is probably being too generous, I think. I think probably both the Mangler Squig and the Loonboss on Mangler Squig are I think both F tier. They're just really expensive, and I don't think that they really do anything, right? Like hitting on 4s everywhere really sucks. The lack of rend, like they're just not dealing very much damage. Did I ever bother doing the damage for them? I don't think I did, because it's not even worth talking about them really. Let's get this out of the way. But 5-up save, a super inconsistent move. Like that D6 really sucks. Yeah, and there's nothing really, like there's not really all that much going on. And then of course the Mangler Squig is just kind of worse. It used to be so good. Do you know what it was? The thing that really killed the Mangler Squigs this edition was the heroic trait Fight Another Day. It used to be able to fight and then bounce away, right? Fight Another Day was like after you fought, you do this right away. And if this still existed, if Fight Another Day wasn't before you fought but after you fought, I think that it could actually be really good, because those big meatballs would just be bouncing around all over the place and would be so hard to pin down. So, but that's not the case anymore. What else in Squigs is interesting and worth talking about? I think the Bounder Boss is A tier. I really like him. I think that he goes really good with enhancements. If you want to make him a caster, he's where you want to be. I call him the Bounder Boss, but really he's the Loonboss on Giant Cave Squig. Nice big fat 5 control. Yeah. I mean, the inconsistency in the movement is still kind of problematic. Going between 7 and 12 is pretty big. The Light of the Bad Moon just making that a 4 isn't great. The Light of the Bad Moon should have just said that it's D3 plus 3, I think. I think that would have been a lot better instead. I think that most of these Squigs are moving on D6s, and instead of it just being 4, being D3 plus 3 is 4, 5, or 6. So I feel like plus 4 is, like, while making it more consistent, just it kind of sucks. It's like they become slower, right? It's 10 inches. It should be 10, 11, or 12 inches. Yeah, but the fact that he brings, like, essentially what he's doing is he's holding like the Clammy Cowl, or he's got Loon Touched, and he's a wizard, and then he's able to actually bring his, like, cast the spells really far forward. So he just sort of holds an enhancement. If he can't hold an enhancement, I don't think he's super good. I want to say hoppers are B tier. The thing with hoppers is that they bring a lot more bodies for a lot cheaper. So they're actually able to, like, I don't know, they're just more cost effective in terms of bodies. So, and Snufflers I think still works on them. Sneaky Snufflers, right? Because it just says Moon Clan, so you can actually give them a 5-up ward. It's 20 wounds in 10 of them, right? So, but I think they're B tier. I think that they're good if you're, like, kind of committed to running a ton of Squigs. If you're gonna do like a big massive Squig herd list, and I think that throwing in some Bounders, I think, or some Hoppers, I think is probably okay. If that's what you're doing. If you're like, oh, I want to run like only like Squigs or whatever, it's probably good. Squig herds, I think, are A tier. They're just really, really solid. The fact that they fight on death just makes them, like, cost efficient. The thing about them that really sucks is the beast keyword, so they only count as 1 control. So, but the fact that they come back and stuff is cool. So like, I don't think you'll bring them in a minimum unit. I think you'll bring them in a maximum unit. But on a 5-up, inflicting a mortal... Sorry, I said fight on death, but that's not... It's like figuratively fight on death. But a 5-up, inflicting a mortal damage is good. It just sort of means that if you have 10 of them, right? Actually, it's each time a model, so it's 12 of them. So you're going to get like a couple mortal wounds out of the unit. So it's a third of them. Nope, not a couple. You're going to get 4 mortal wounds out of the unit. So, like, they just trade really well. So that's cool. I like them. They also, yeah, I mean, like, they don't bite as hard as they used to. I think Gobbapalooza can still give them rend, right? So, but Gobbapalooza happens on a 3-up now instead of by default. It used to be much better. Adding 1 rend, right? And the Squig boss gives them... crit mortals, and he doesn't have to roll for it, right? Oh, it is on a 2-up. Oh my god, it's always a die roll. Oh no, never mind. You just pick, and this is a 2-up. No, never mind. You have to, it's a 2-up. So crit mortals though, crit mortals is good on, they tend to throw a lot of dice, especially if you're taking Squigalanche. Right, like it's 40 dice for a non-reinforced unit. So it's a lot of dice. And then like dealing crit mortals, and then when they die, it's crit mortals. Right. It can be a lot of damage. Show effective health. Yeah, I love this thing. I love this website. So we're gonna leave them A tier. Any other squig stuff to do? Nope. Get into some trolls. Okay, so trogs, or the trolls, took a little bit of a hit. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about the manifestations. I think the manifestations are B tier. I think the manifestations are only good if you are playing trolls. And the reason, quite simply, is because of the moon manifestation. What's it called? What's it called? The moon? Malevolent moon. I think that the malevolent moon is the only reason that it's the only one that's good. Being affected by all 4 faces of the moon, like being essentially giving trolls their +1 to save. I think it's only really good if you're gonna do like a castle build and you're gonna keep the moon behind, and you're gonna just catch the trolls that you have in this 12-inch aura to make sure that they get their +1 save. I think that's the only reason that you ever really want to run this. Scuttletide obviously is bad. The Mork's Mighty Mushroom is worse than Gravetide, and the Arachna Cauldron, I don't know, it's just not doing enough, I think. So like adding, like, it's just one Arachna Cauldron, giving 1 power level, I don't know, it's just not doing it for me. I feel I would much rather just have like other better manifestations. Like it's tough. Yeah, I think there's just better spells to be casting, really. So I'm gonna give that one a B tier. Trug, I think Trug is probably A tier. I think Trug is solid. Trug the Troggoth King, he got some changes from this last edition. So his attack profile is a little bit more consistent. He still only throws 6 dice, but he's really hard to take down. And like his Lee line is like pretty good. So the thing that's tough about this is when you want to have a 5-up board and you don't get a 5-up board, you know. So some of these are still not really great, like the Unbind and the anti-shooting one. But yeah, +1 of the attack characteristic of all trogs that are wholly within 12. It's good. Yeah. And same thing, but with Rend, like it's pretty good. Rolling 2 dice, each one with a 1 in 3 chance, or a 50-50 chance of getting something good, but really a 1 in 3 chance of getting what you want. It's not bad. Dankhold, I'm gonna stick in A tier 2. I think that the Dankhold's Wade and Smash ability is still an underrated ability. It's just that movement, being able to move 6 inches. And it's not like it's not a D6, right? It's just being able to move 6 inches and then smashing. Like, movement is awesome, especially when you're running trolls, because they're kind of slow. I'm also going to put the Dankhold Trogboss up here as well. I'm kind of tempted to put him, you know what, I'm going to put him into B tier. So his Shepherd of Destruction ability, where he gives +1 attacks, is not great, obviously, because it happens on a 4-up. He used to have to be in combat, but now it's on a 4-up. So more just, it's like 50% of the chance, 50% of the time it coming off, it's not consistent enough. So the reason I'm going to stick him in B tier and not F tier is because he is a hero and he does lead trolls. So the only time that you really want to play him is if you don't have enough room for Trug. Right? Because I think it's only really Trug and Scragrot and the Dankhold Trogboss that can really take trolls, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might just be those 3. Yeah, very well could be. And Fellwater, I think, is A tier. I mean, I think that Gitz, like, people were down on Gitz, myself included, when the Battle Tome first came out, if we're looking at the battle tactics and stuff, but I think you can still, like, rock a good, yeah, I mean, rock guts are still A tier. It's weird to do Gitz lists because it's almost like Iron Jaws and Cruel Boys, where there's multiple armies. This should really be like, I think that Gitz should really be 2 books. It should be above ground and below ground. It should be Squigs and Trolls and Moon Clan, and up above ground is Spider Fang and the Wolf Gitz. I think that's how it should work. And Moon Clan is both, right? Moon Clan can be below ground and above ground. They should really have 2 different books with some overlapping war scrolls. Just some of the foot heroes, like Stabas and Shootas, and like the boss, like just the Loonboss, right? Fungoid Cave Shaman can be both. There could be some that are in both books, but that would actually be kind of neat, I think. I think the Loonboss is, I think he's straight up F tier. The problem with the Loonboss is that he's not giving us any kind of buffs or utility that we actually want. You know, like his attack profile is nothing special or whatever. Returning D6 lane models on a 2-up is like fine. Like, it's fine. And adding one to wound rolls, it's like, it's just not doing anything. This needs to be like crit mortals, you know? And bringing in a unit of Moon Clan, it's like, whatever. So I don't know, like, how many points would you pay for this effect if it's not in combat? Return D6 models. 90, probably not. I don't know, it's just not really doing anything for me. I just don't think that you play it. If it was defensive, like if it was like, oh, they can like move away or something, it's pretty good. Squig Boss, we're gonna stick in A tier. He's just really good. I guess we should have talked about him when we were talking about Squigs, right? So he's just A tier. I think giving crit mortals to Herd and stuff is really good. You can also do it to Hoppers too, but I think Herd is where he's at his best. I'm gonna put Rabble Rouser in B tier, and I think the reason is just because if you're playing a lot of monsters, then I think that he's worth it. The thing with Rabble Rouser is that you really need to have a specific plan of how you're gonna do it, right? Like he sort of deep strikes and deploys out of the thing, which is fine. Monster or beast, right? So it affects both monsters and beasts, so it does affect Herd. What else does it really affect in the book, though, that you're actually going to be playing? Kragnos and Trug? Like, I don't know. That's not really what like, Kragnos and Trug don't really want to be 3D or running and charging in. And Kragnos, like, is pretty mobile, and I think Trug plays a very similar role where he doesn't want to engage super early. He wants to engage a little bit later. Yeah, so it's any monster or beast. So maybe if you're playing like a Regiment of Renown, like you're playing like the pigs or something, but I think that's just going to be a B tier for me, unless it's really what you're planning. If you really have like a focused plan about how you're going to use this guy, I think that's fine. But if not, it's kind of like whatever. Fungoid Cave Shaman. Fungoid Cave Shaman might be A tier. Yeah, I mean, he's a good wizard. And Loon Touched gives us... gives him +1 to cast. So that's pretty good and pretty consistent. It's like it adds consistency. And the Death Calf Mushroom, that his ability where he gets +1 to his power level. If you are running the Arachna Cauldron, you just do this first turn and use it to cast the Arachna Cauldron. And then from that point on, he's a 2 cast wizard with +2. Or sorry, +1. He's a 2 cast wizard with +1. So that's pretty good. If you're running some good, like, some good manifestations. You know, I don't really know which ones you're really going to be running. I find that, what's it called? Forbidden Powers. It's the one with Purple Sun and Gravetide and Shackles. That's the one I like to run and gets the most. Okay, up next, Sneaky Snufflers. I'm going to put Sneaky Snufflers in B tier. I think that they actually do have a decent role. But I'm definitely not going to put them A tier. Because their ability... Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up right here. Their ability is very inconsistent. So it's like it needs to be on a 3-up to give the ward. And you get 1 to the roll if the moon is cackling this turn. So... you have like it's not going to work over the whole course of the game. If you're running Scragrot, you'll get 3 turns, which is fine, but you're playing like you have to get a 2-up, and it's only going to work for a couple phases of the game. The moon, they designed this moon so poorly. It would have been better if they just left it the way that it was before, to be honest with you. It was kind of annoying before, but it should have, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They should have picked a different kind of mechanic for the Bad Moon. Maybe it would have been better if it was like in a quarter and then on a half, and you get to pick which half, left and right or front and back, and then it takes the whole, and then it's like it takes the other one. So if it was left and right, it takes the left, and if it was front and back, it takes the back. Something like that would have been better. Maybe a little bit more complicated of where on the battlefield it's covering, but this mechanic is just not very good. It's too inconsistent. If it was just like pick a unit, it gets it, or if it was always a 2-up, then like I've thought about, like, you know, obviously the reinforced brick of Stabas. I've also thought about a reinforced blob of Hoppers. It's a lot of wounds in Hoppers. So if they can suddenly get a 5-up ward, it's a lot of wounds. So Gobbapalooza. I think we're moving away from like a heavy manifestation meta. Manifestations are obviously still good, but the fact that the best ones now cost points, like, he's not just like a unit that isn't a hero, that's a wizard. He also, like, I mean, his ability is going off on a 3-up. His know what's, right? Oops. The know what's it abilities going off on a 3-up just kind of suck. It's so unreliable. The ward is like whatever. Wizard 1, he's probably too expensive for what he does now. He used to be cool because you could hide fanatics in him. If you could hide fanatics in him still with the new soggy fanatics, I think he might be S tier. Because it's like, oh, this little squad of 5 little dudes, and then bam, like fanatics have the option of popping out of him. Because then you can be like, okay, here's like a unit of Shootas, a unit of Stabas, and then Gobbapalooza. And then if you come, like, Gobbapalooza can sit off on a flank somewhere, and if your opponent threatens that flank's fanatics pop out of Gobbapalooza and go wreck some face. But he just lost so many things this edition. I think I'm going to stick him in B tier. If you want to play a really casting heavy army, and you, but like, I don't know. He's either B or F. Which makes me sad because I love the models. He's either B or F. We'll leave him in B. Loon Smash of Fanatics, I think, are straight up F tier. They, why play them? right? Why play them? Play the new ones instead. Loon Smash of Fanatics, 110 points. Soggy Fanatics, 110 points. You lose the Always Strike Last, but you get a way better effect of how you can actually get out on the battlefield. So I think they're Strike Last. And I think that the Soggy ones are A tier. Because they're awesome. They deal lots of damage, they pop out, they actually go where you want them to be. Spore Splatta Fanatics, I think, are a little bit of a different story. Like, they both have this, like, -1. Oh, no, they don't. Giving -1 to attack to the enemy is fine against some armies. It'll be scary. Oh, it's attack characteristic. This is actually a really good debuff. 90 points for the old ones, 70 points for the new ones. They're so cheap. So cheap. This effect for 70 points is probably worth it. Maybe even if you're playing trolls, but trolls don't need a lot of help surviving. But they're so cheap. You could find room for this in a list. And this end of any turn, moving 2d6 into combat. You do this at the end of your opponent's turn. The Soggy ones, I think, are probably A tier. And the original Spore Splattas, I think, are probably F tier. Adding one to the attack characteristic of weapons of Moon Clan isn't good because there's no damage. There's no good buffs to give Stabbas. +1 to wound from the Loonboss. And then what, like +1, like, but then you're just throwing buckets of dice and you're not dealing any damage. So I just don't think that you take them. I think that for 90 points, I think you just take the better ones for cheaper. Like, you just never take them. Yeah. Drogs, I think, is A tier. Especially in trolls. Standing behind the trolls and having like a 6-inch -1 to hit is quite good. Lots of armies, especially as an orc player, going into -1 to hit really sucks. And the fact that they can't use all out attack, like they're just gonna be hitting on 5s, like against Iron Jaws. It's like if you come into the trolls and Drogs is sitting behind the trolls, hitting on 5s and not being able to do anything about it blows. So the rest of it, where the Get Mob fights with him, the rest of it is like kind of whatever. He's a little bit expensive for what he does, but I think that you can definitely play him. He's fast. It's kind of squishy though. His attacks don't deal a ton, but that's fine. He doesn't have to. Snarlfang Riders, I think, are A tier. I think that running one in a list, I think, is totally fine. Right? Snarlfang Riders, like, they don't do a ton of damage. The Grot Bow is like whatever. 0 Ren sucks. If you take them in the right sub-faction, they can get 1 Ren on the companion weapons here. But really what you want is this. Once per turn army enemy movement phase, if it's not in combat, it just gets a free redeploy. So if you need something that, like, it's a good scout unit, if you're playing that kind of strategy where you want your scouts to be moving up the board and capturing things in enemy territory, it's hard to get a hold of. So if your opponent moves up to you and they're just outside of 3, and then you get a free redeploy and you move 5 inches backwards and they fail the charge, you just denied your opponent a lot of space, right? They failed the charge, but they also, like, couldn't move up further, if that makes sense, right? Because you were there and then you kind of bounced back. So free redeploy is good. Just like running one of these guys, I think, is pretty good. The Snarl Boss. Let's do the Snarl Boss next. I kind of want to put the Snarl Boss in A tier. And just because I think that the Snarlfang Cavalry are A tier. The Snarl Pack Cavalry. The Snarl Pack Cavalry I think are A tier because they're just super, super cheap. 3 of them for 100. Adding to the control score is like whatever, but having strike first, if it charged and getting charge +1 damage and getting +1 rend if you take the sub faction, I think that these guys actually can do some work. They also have 3 health each, which is nice, right? A little bit more survivability than we're used to from Gloomspite Gitz. Nice and fast. These guys are really good at pinning. So because they, I think, are A tier, I think that the Snarl Boss is also A tier because you can give them plus to their attack characteristics, just of the companion weapons, but you can also give them +2 to charge. So it's like they kind of work synergistically with each other. So that's yeah. As opposed to the Snarl Boss on war-wheela. I don't really know what to think of this thing. I wish that this was just a named one instead and had something actually cool. Yeah. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy units that are in combat. -1 to hit is fine. 180 points though. Adding 6 to the movement of Sunsteel Wheelas. That's the thing, right? It's like I just wish that Sunsteel Wheelas were better. Because I think this thing lives and dies off Sunsteel Wheelas. Yeah. I just don't think it's getting there. It's all this like 0 rend nonsense. Right? If you're taking the sub faction that came with Scourge of Gairan, where is it? Let's pull it up here. Soggy Gitz. If you're taking this like Sunbiter pack, you're adding rend to the companion weapons. But these things that have like additional attacks, I don't know. It's just not doing it for me. So these two, I'm just gonna put them both. I'm just gonna put them both into B tier. I'm gonna put the boss into B tier. I'm gonna put the Sunsteel Wheelas into B tier. I think the shaman, and the reason I'm gonna stick him into B tier is because it's only if you really want to build like a totally get mob list. I don't recommend it. I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest. It's just this 0 rend across the board. If your opponent has anything with any kind of survivability, you're just going to bounce off this. Yeah, it's just not doing it for me. The Frazzle Git, it's got to be enemy units within 9. It's pretty close. I mean, I guess it's fast, but 2-up D3, I don't know. Not being targeted wholly within 6 to not be targeted. Wizard 1. No, this thing is not very good. I think he's actually F tier. He's just not bringing anything to the table, really. The Wolfgit Retinue, I'm going to say, is B tier just because they're 70 points and they're fast. They're good at getting in the way. I wish the Doom Diver was A tier. But the problem with the Doom Diver is it's really inconsistent. I don't think we've received an FAQ on how it actually works. I think I know how I feel. I've made a video about it before. But I think it still has to come down in points. Its base is so big. 4 dice. It's only really good at clearing like bad save things. Like against Gut Rippas, it's really good. Because you're just going to re-roll all the missed hits. So you're going to be hitting with 3 of them. Yeah, but it's pretty decent against bad save things. Like infantry and cavalry that have like 5-up saves. right? Because then even with the rerolls, you still get like 2 rend, which is a lot of rend to get. Slow. This just needs to come down. If it comes down in price enough, I think it'll be good. But for now, I'm going to leave it in B tier. I just think it's only good if you really want to run that kind of like a full Gitz list. Like, sorry. Sunstealers. Nope. That's what are they called? Oh my. Snarlfang. Is that what they're called? Git mob. There it is. I got there. So S tier just for bounders. But I mean, if we're being real, like if we're playing them in their appropriate factions, I think there's lots of actual S tier units. Right? Like I think that if you're playing Git mob, you're definitely playing cavalry. Your list is probably mostly cavalry. If you're playing trolls, you're definitely playing rock cuts without any problem. If you're playing squigs, you're definitely playing herd and bounders and a squig boss, right? So I think that I feel pretty comfortable moving all those guys up to S tier just because like I said, this really should be multiple books. It really should be multiple books. The squigs down below should have like Moon Clan, right? And the ones up above should have Git mob, and one should have a sun and one should have a moon, and they should like be opposites of each other in some way. Like they could do a good job, but we'll have to wait for the next edition's books. Really rough internal balance for Gloomspite Gitz. There's just too many things, man. There's just too many things. If they split it up into 2 books, I think they could do a much better job. But if internal balance is really rough. But lots of good units. I hope squigs are doing well. And I hope you're doing well if you're out there playing squigs. So, thanks for checking it out. Let me know in the comments below what you agree with, what you disagree with. Or better yet, join the Discord. Always fantastic conversations. Come post your lists. Like, subscribe. Wow.